Hey, Dharma Drops listeners, before we get into this episode, just a really quick heads up that there are now new Dharma mini drop episodes that will be coming out every Wednesday. So in fact, one already came out on Wednesday, February 12th. So if you haven't heard it yet, you're actually missing an episode. These are quick 10 to 15, 20-minute episodes or so just to hold you over throughout the week until you get your regular Dharma Drops episodes every other Friday. Right now, I'm really into the card readings, so I'm basing the mini drops on the card readings, but I've been open to allowing Dharma Drops to become whatever the hell it wants to be. So who knows what the mini drops will be in the future? It's for us to grow and figure out together. So in any case, for now, the Dharma mini drops episodes are card readings every Wednesday on Dharma Drops podcast. Listen on all podcast apps, and then you can get the regular episodes every other Friday. So one more time, mini drops every Wednesday. Big, awesome, regular episodes every other Friday. Okay, you can get all the deets at dharmadropspodcast.com. Here we go into this week's episode. This is Dharma Drops with your host, Rebecca Warfield. This podcast is a little bit about yoga, a little bit about life, and a little bit about whatever. And just as a warning, this podcast is unscripted, so that means I might regret a few things that I say. But hey, maybe I'll say some pretty awesome stuff too. Remember, these are musings, not truths. Buckle up, giddy up, because here we go. So usually what I do is I'll just, in like the general format, is I think you farted. You better get ready, girl. It's going to stink. Hey, gee. Ew. I told you.
I don't smell it yet.
Okay, it'll come to you. They're like pockets of like death. I might not edit that out. On the day after Hank's 5th birthday, recording with my friend Ahna Hendrix, Hank is blowing us into the cosmos with his birthday farts.
I still don't smell it.
Because they're dense pockets of death that will strike you like a dart. Oh, Hanky. So what we'll do...
I have celiac disease. I get it.
Yeah.
Same, buddy.
Same, Hanky.
My brain doesn't always function when I get into these things.
Oh, I know all about it.
And I get really excited and I'm like, so like.
Look, when I edit my podcast, I think to myself, why do you say like so much? It is terrible.
Yeah. But it is part of it.
Well, it's part of being raised in the 90s too, right?
You think it's that?
I feel like my students, I feel like my students don't say like ever. They're young, but they say things like, yeah.
Is that a word?
Vocal fry. It's a sound, vocal fry. It's that like sandpaper against the vocal cord sound at the end of words. Like, yeah. What's up? Yeah, I totally know.
It's so annoying to me.
It's terrible.
Like, okay, belly high.
I think this is a good way to start our podcast episode. Hi, welcome to Dharma Drops podcast.
Yo.
So let's just do the damn thing. I'm Rebecca Warfield. This is my friend Ahna Hendrix. How's it going, Ahna?
It's going good.
So good?
So good.
It's really nice to have you here in my tiny yoga studio-ish / recording space.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I love Hank.
And Hank is here.
I love him.
He loves company. So Kristen Nice recorded over here a few weeks ago. You maybe heard her episode about prenatal yoga, and he sat with her the entire time.
He's so sweet.
Thanks. He's the Dharma Drops celebrity. Forget me. Forget the rest of the guests. Everyone is like Hank.
I mean, I can't compete with that.
No one can compete with Hank. Trust me. Hanky, is it true what they say about you? He's like, yeah, pretty much.
Of course.
Yeah, it is.
Of course.
So we are chilling here in my home recording space, and we are recording today about whatever we want. That's what we decided. But I think the main gist of things from the get-go is that you were going to talk a little bit about failure, but we also have all sorts of other things to talk about in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get into all of that, I think the Dharma Drops audience would probably like to know that we know each other. We're friends.
Yes.
And we met through yoga.
Yes.
You used to come to my yoga classes a lot back when I first started teaching.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
you're so
obsessed.
You were obsessed?
Obsessed. I done like long wave yoga, which is where Rebecca taught, for those who don't know, was like my second home, basically. When I moved to Wilmington, I would work all day because I work for myself. And then that was like my interaction with real humans.
Look, and that's how I am now, right? Because when I first started teaching yoga, I was constantly at UNCW working all the time. And then I would go to Long Wave and practice and teach and be like, oh my God, there's so many people. But life has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And I work in this chair. Yesterday, I sat there from 7:45 a.m. To minus 1 hour when I went to teach yoga. And then I didn't get out of this chair until 9 p.m.
You're a powerhouse, dude.
Girl, you gotta do shit. Luckily, that chair is really comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started working for myself in 2012, I mean, like when I launched my business, it was about 3 weeks in, and I got up one morning and everything was dizzy and fuzzy, and I got in the shower and I'm like, what is going on? And it was like, you know, God was like, Ahna, you need a day off, girl.
Your eyes can't look at that computer anymore.
Well, I realized like I hadn't taken a day off, an afternoon off, an evening off. Like I was just hardcore. I mean, it was all or nothing, because I mean, that was what it had to be at that point in time. But yeah, I
I think the Dharma Drops audience is probably really tired of hearing me talk about Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. Have you read that? Mm-mm. It's pretty good. The word money, actually, there's a bonus episode coming out this Friday where it's a crossover with my friend Katie McCormick's podcast, Just One More Chapter, and then the Dharma Drops podcast, and we're talking about our favorite books for like spiritual growth and self-help and stuff. But in any case, in that book, You Are a Badass at Making Money, she talks about how, especially in the beginning of things, it is like, it is, you're in a zone.
Thunderstorm.
It is, and you can't, there's so much to be done, you know, and you can't stop doing it. And one of the things I'm constantly trying to balance is I'm one person. I don't have any employees. I did just hire my first writer today. Yay! Which I'm really excited about that. But in any case, I'm just one human. You get it. And
1000%.
Yeah. And the whole thing has to be done with these 10 little fingers. You know, it's like really rough. Yeah.
Well, and there's only so many hours in the day. And I mean, when you're creative and when you're building something, it's such an amazing time because like you don't run out of energy. You don't run out of ideas. You don't run out of things to do.
You drive everyone crazy. You're like,
like just nonstop. My roommate at the time was just like, she'd pop in every once in a while and be like, so Ahna, you want to do this? And it was like, nope. And nope. And nope. I mean, like, A, I was starting a business, and B, like, I was in New York City and I had to make a living. So I was like not spending money.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse. Aaron says this to me all the time. He's like, your drive is one of your best qualities, but it's also your greatest downfall.
Yeah.
Give me a project. Oh, I'm going to do it.
It's your Virgo, girl.
Yes.
So
because
hard.
you're Virgo, right?
Well, I'm like the year Virgo. Like I'm definitely like half Virgo.
Well, I'm Virgo rising.
So I'm a double Sag with a Leo rising.
Okay. Tell me what that means. I don't know a lot about astrology.
Which part?
All of it. Double Sag with Leo rising.
Well, so when you have, there's these three main signs that a lot of people know about.
Sure.
So your rising, your moon, and your sun.
Okay.
So your sun is like what people know of you, which is kind of like your ego, right? So your moon is actually your emotions and how your like emotions are governed. So I'm like a double Sag. So that means my moon and my sun are Sagittarius, which is really interesting. And then your rising is what you project to people.
Uh-oh.
And what's really interesting about that is, your rising is also Virgo? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you know Rebecca, it is all Virgo. Like immediately coming at you.
You know, Aaron's a Virgo.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I remember your
Virgos
story.
love Virgos because we're the only ones who know how right we are.
Well, y'all are probably like peacemakers too.
Yeah,
probably. Do you fight?
Hardly ever. Yeah. I can think of one time we had like a fight. You know what I mean? And that was like, well, I'm not doing that again. You know, that was dumb. No need for that. That was stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can your
My guy's a Virgo too.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you have a lot of Virgo friends too, right? I
have always been so Virgo men are like my kryptonite. Seriously,
Aaron, you can't be around Ahna. No, I'm kidding.
There's just some, I mean, like Virgo men, they're masculine, but they're soft and sweet and gentle, and then they like know all the things, and then they do all the things, and like, you know, they're emotionally intelligent, and I mean, like, they're just so well-rounded.
Virgos are really perfect. I'm just saying. Wait, can your moon be in Mercury?
No.
Damn it. I read something the other day about my Virgo and Mercury, and I don't remember what it was anymore. I don't know anything about astrology. I just went to my first astrology workshop. We talked about this a little bit on social media, and I actually learned a lot about the houses in that workshop. But there's 12 of them, and it's a lot. But what I really liked about the way that this woman in particular talked about astrology was that she didn't talk about it in terms of prediction, right? This isn't telling you what's going to happen with your life. Instead, she refers to the signs and the houses and the planets as archetypes, and that there's something you can build a relationship with. And so it can help you govern your own life, which I really like that approach to it versus like opening up the newspaper. And
she's an evolutionary astrologer, right? Yeah, that's a big difference. It's like, it comes from a much more soul-centered place than like, let's tell the future. You know, even kind of like using tarot cards or those sorts of things. Like, you can come at it from that point of view where you're like trying to predict the future. Or you can come at it from like the soul tarot point of view, where it's more so like, tell me help me to understand what's going on right now. Help me to connect with the different archetypes in tarot. Like, evolutionary astrologers are becoming really popular right now.
It's really interesting. There's a really good astrology podcast that I like called Soul Shine Astrology. I actually asked her to be on my podcast, and Natalie, you didn't email me back, but
you must tag her.
Yes, but in any case, her stuff is really cool because she uses astrology for career ideas, which is really cool. So I feel like you'd probably like to check that out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I if you looked at my list of podcasts right now, it's like all like, first of all, I have business, but then it's like all like spiritual, like tarot, like psychics, like everything.
Mine's
astrology.
All murder. I love true crime. Mine's all murder stuff, which is so great. I'm like over here like, yeah, my sign, can this sun be in Mercury? Did you see that murder?
This is the Virgo in you, by the way. My boyfriend, like, I mean, and honestly, every Virgo I've known, like, y'all can watch straight up horror, like terrific, like whatever, violent, inflicting things, and like, not phased. Or it's like you watch it to like get a rise or something. It's like, I watch like a scary commercial and I can't sleep for a week. So
sometimes the true crime stuff gets to me if I listen to it too close to bedtime, or if Aaron's traveling for work. Because I mean, these things are always, not always, but very often it's women who are the victims of these crimes, you know, and then, so then there's that personal sort of bullshit, effect to it all. So sometimes,
the door locked.
I know.
The window locked.
I know. And as sweet as Hank is, I don't know that anyone's really afraid of Hank.
I've been nibbled on by him, and there is nothing scary about that.
No, he's so cute. It just breaks my heart. He's so cute. Yeah. So the funny thing about this recording is, when we first started, we were thinking like, well, what are we going to talk about? I'm telling you, you just never know what we're going to talk about on this podcast.
Astrology, tarot. I love it.
I'm really into tarot cards. In fact, behind you, there's the set of the Wild Unknown tarot cards. I really like her stuff.
I'm so going to love on those after.
Yeah, you should. And Erin got me her archetype card deck for Christmas this year too. So her stuff is awesome. Kim Kranz.
Oh, I've definitely seen those. Mm-hmm. I just got my first tarot deck towards the end of last year. I'm actually taking a course right now with Lindsay Mack.
You are?
Yes.
I want to take a tarot course.
Well, it's not a tarot course, but hers comes out in, I think, May of this year. And she does Soul Tarot. She is incredible. Wild Soul for the Tarot is her podcast. And oh my gosh.
Wild Soul for the Tarot. All of these things that we're talking about, guys, will be in the show notes. So make sure
Lindsay Mack is amazing. So the course that I'm doing right now is called Inner Voice. And it's all about strengthening your intuition. And it's really incredible because like the first part of it, it's all about going really deep on the brain and understanding the role that the brain plays and the voice that it has, And I mean, like, being able to, like, figure out which voice is your brain, which voice is your inner child, which voice is you, is really interesting and conflicting. And in the midst of, like, each of the lessons, she's got, like, tarot guides. So the queens are, like, with us through the whole journey. But, like, this week, which is all about the body. She's using the knights. And so like last week was the Hermit, and the Hermit was all about divine timing. But everything is, I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible course.
Hank, I pulled his tarot one day, and the Wild Unknown tarot cards are a little bit different. She takes some, when I say liberties, I don't mean that in a bad way. She just like, she's an artist, you know what I mean? And so her tarot for the Hermit was like the sort of negative card. And it was like talking about doom in the future. And then poor Hanky had a vet appointment the next day and had a really bad day. I know. And so I won't read his tarot anymore because I get too worried.
Poor little guy.
Oh, Hanky, are you finally laying in your bed behind Anna? He's just so cute. He breaks my heart. So
I don't know how you get anything done.
I don't. He's just too cute. So getting back to whatever we're talking about today. So I think this is a good segue because, you know, you're talking about the brain. And one of the things that I like about you so much is that you do have this sort of business-driven brain, but you're also a spiritual being for sure. And so I think that's a good segue into whatever it is we're talking about today.
So literally because you said that, I have to talk about my new podcast.
Okay, let's do it.
Because my new podcast is called The Soul Driven Podcast. I haven't even fully published it yet, but I will give Rebecca a link so you can get on the email list.
Yep, and it'll be in the show notes for everyone.
Yes,
yeah.
And probably it'll be published by the time this is published.
Who knows? I don't know when this is going live, whenever we want.
Cool.
Yeah.
But like the name of the podcast was this kind of like incredible thing that happened between Carlos and I, like going back and forth for like several days. And he actually came up with Soul Driven and says he has earned the rights to it for forever. But I loved it so much, not only because the podcast is about, you know, living a soulful spiritual life in an ambitious and driven world, but it also like perfectly describes me and this like double-sided, you know, like you just said, like, I'm very soulful, I'm very spiritual, but like, I know business.
Right.
You know? And for a long time, I mean, I've wanted to have a podcast for years, but in regards to what I wanted to share and what I wanted to talk about, I mean, like, you're like me, you have a billion interests, so it's like, where do I even start?
That's like the biggest hurdle for me is to like hone all this into one thing. So I just decided, fuck it. I'm going to do whatever I want.
I love your like, and whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that is perfect. I want to say that too. Be like, and whatever.
And whatever. Because look.
Because I don't want to be like hemmed in by something.
Yeah.
You know, like if I feel like being goofy one day, or if I want to share something really deep and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's forever changing. But yeah, so that's going to be coming out soon. And that is, I think, a really exciting project that I'm working on. I know that we kind of discussed in the beginning that we were going to talk about failure. So Rebecca was actually a part of a second business that I had created at the end of 2016. It was a retail business. She was one of my models.
Hey, lucky people get to look at me.
Yes,
Just
she
kidding.
was gorgeous.
Oh,
in high heels.
Stop. so tall in high heels.
And so gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm probably like 6 feet tall if I wear heels.
I always felt like you were that tall anyway.
Yeah, everyone says
it's your
that.
Personality.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
You can't see me right now, but
She's projecting my bigness.
The big personality. But yeah, so that was something that I put my heart, soul, spirit, mind into. And I think for the first time in my life, I had finally found a piece of like what my purpose was. And so when I shut that down at the end of 2018, which really we just couldn't make the business model work, scaling was going to be very difficult, I stepped back into my marketing agency, which is the business I built in 2012. I'm amazing with marketing. I've had an incredible opportunity to work with businesses world round, but it's not really like what feeds my soul. So to step back into that was really, I mean, when you go from like grasping onto your purpose to like going back to just kind of a mundane, like something that's fun, but like more so it's about paying the bills.
Right.
It is such a life-changing experience, and it kind of, I mean, sucks everything out. I mean, like we talked about how difficult it is when you're building a business and you're like dumping everything into it. I mean, the first, I would say, because I shut it down in December 2018. And it wasn't really until April 2019, probably right around then, that I actually like started like kind of getting back to myself, because it was so much healing and so much like just the rest. I mean, I had given everything I had to that. Like,
I witnessed this.
Everything. All the money, all the time, all the conversations. I mean, like, people probably thought I was so boring for a couple of years because that's all I talked about. But you know, and I mean, there's a whole discussion there too about like balance.
Yeah. What's that?
That's the like Virgo in me that's like extreme. But in the midst of this kind of recovery, this whole, I mean, just I've had this huge spiritual wave happen. I mean, just the doors got blown off, and I've always been a spiritual person, but 2019 for me was just like a total awakening that is still happening. And that's definitely kind of, you know, the podcast is, I think, the first real thing that's culminated from that, where it's like, I've decided I'm going to do something that I really love, that I'm passionate about. I'm going to be putting mine out like unedited and raw at first, so I can take people kind of on that journey with me as I like get an intro and like be cool and, you know, do the things that a marketing person wants to do.
Right.
But my recovering perfectionism is like, I don't want to put all this weight on myself on the front end, so that I can just start having a conversation, because that's really what's most important to me. And you've been such an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
And you're freaking rocking it.
Thank
like with your
you.
retail and everything. I'm like, okay, now she's doing that. Okay, now this, now like
that
journal and books and card pulls, and like it just keeps coming.
That chair right there, girl. That's the magic seat.
I need to sit here for a little while before I leave today.
That's the magic seat right there.
I love it though. I
Thank
mean,
you.
like, seriously, it's just like continually evolving.
Well, I feel like one of the things, look, so I'm not a business person, right? My background is not business. My background is education. My background is academia. I've been a teacher my whole life. But one of the things that I've been really committed to, and I actually mentioned this on the happy birthday post for Dharma Drops the other day, because it was the 1 year anniversary of Dharma Drops. That I've been
amazing.
Thank you. I've been really committed to letting this thing turn into whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm kind of behind the wheel steering a little bit. When we hit a bump in the road, we hit a bump in the road. We reroute. You know, I tried some stuff in the beginning, like book clubs. It just didn't work. People registered weren't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. So rather than forcing it, I was like, hey, I'm canceling this and giving you all your money back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, cool. And they have been return customers since then too.
Yeah.
I've just not been committed to things that don't work. And I guess getting back to the point about failure, it isn't failure if you say it's not failure. It's failure if you're like, oh, damn, well, that didn't work. Now I can't do anything else, right?
Oh, for sure.
Cool, that didn't work. Now I have all this time and energy to do something else that will work.
Well, and I think, I mean, our whole, the way that we even view the word failure is it's short-sighted. Sarah, Spanx. Blakely. Thank you.
Yeah. I like blah, 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 blah.
I was just going to go with it.
It's not edited out.
She talks about how growing up in her household, every night, her and her brother would sit down and her dad would be like, okay, so what'd you fail at today? And like, for instance, one day she came home from school and she was like, Dad, I tried out for a course and it was so bad. And they like said no. and he was like, that's awesome. Good job. Like, way to try, way to go for it. And like, can you imagine growing up with a dad like that? No. I mean, like, holy crap.
Sorry, Dad. My dad doesn't know what a podcast is. I don't think. He's probably no idea. No, I can't.
I mean, that's just like, but that's how we should be viewing failure. That's how we should be like, I mean, because I definitely don't look at shutting down my business as a failure.
No,
like,
it's just
that's what I needed to do.
It's one step along the way. Have you been moved by the profound depth of yogic teachings and want to grow your understanding? Do you want to establish a strong foundation of knowledge and find your own unique expression as an instructor? If your answer is yes, then consider joining the Yogic Studies programs at Longwave Yoga in Wilmington, North Carolina. Longwave Yoga offers a 200-hour training starting March 6th through August 16th, 2020. This program encourages you to embrace your calling and find a path of study that works for you. Whether it's the Yoga Alliance accredited accredited teacher training path, the practitioner's path, or the teacher tune-up, Longwave Yoga has a path that meets your goals. Do you desire to further develop precision, purpose, knowledge, and confidence in teaching and practicing yoga? Then consider joining the Longwave Yoga 300-hour advanced teacher training program. This program has enrollment all year long. Learn more at longwaveyoga.com. That's LONGWAVEYOGA.com. longwaveyoga.com.
Oh my God, Becky, where did you get those bracelets? They are so cute.
They make me look like a yogi, and I got them from you at spiritualjunkies.com. Duh. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but the Dharma Drops Smile bracelet, it's my favorite.
You can go to spiritualjunkies.com, and in the new year, there are so many different handmade bracelets, all genuine gemstones, and they help you hold your intentions.
And that's the thing I love so much about Spiritual Junkies. Mala bracelets, they're handmade, they're authentic, and I get to take my intention with me everywhere I go. So, Deanie, can you tell us where we can find all of your malas this year?
spiritualjunkies.com, and there's a promo code for Dharma Drops. It's code DharmaFriend for 15% off.
Awesome. So guys, you can head over to spiritualjunkies.com and save 15% on a single order with the promo code DharmaFriend. That's spiritualjunkies.com, spiritualjunkies.com with the promo code DharmaFriend, DharmaFriend.
Well, and you learn so much. And I mean, 2019 was definitely like a shitstorm. I mean, it was one of the hardest years of my life.
Which are sometimes the most important in terms of spiritual awakening, too.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
Oh, sorry.
It's cool. You can sound smart for me.
Sorry. So wait, just a timeout. So do you remember that old TV show Blind Date that was on in like the 90s?
I never watched TV.
Oh my God. Okay, so everyone else listening, Anna's just going to chill for a second. So there's this old show, Blind Date, and they probably canceled it in the early 2000s, but Bravo brought a reboot back of it. And I was watching an episode last night because I love shitty television because I'm a Virgo, right? And I can watch this terrible stuff and it has no effect on me. And the guy was like finishing every sentence of the date. And I was oh my God, this is the most annoying thing in the world. And I just did that to you.
No. No. But, I mean, you're a spiritual person too. Mm-hmm. You understand that concept too. Mm-hmm. And I think most people do. But of course, when you're in the middle of it, you're like, whatever, like.
Who wants to hear that? Your misery right now is the best thing that could ever happen to you.
That's why you go to yoga. That's what they tell you in yoga every time. Get used to suffering. It's good for you. Like,
it's like the worst.
And it really is.
It is.
It really is. I mean, this undoing has taught me the most that, like, I need to really welcome in these, like, hand quotation failures, these, like, sidesteps, like you're talking about your book club. I mean, like, the whole thing is, like, you tried.
I tried.
And if you hadn't tried, then you wouldn't know.
Right.
And these people wouldn't have had a chance to be like, oh, like, to learn that you're a person of character and integrity, mm-hmm. and that you don't have a problem being like, hey, I had this idea and it didn't work, so I'm going to give your money back. Yeah. Like, that's awesome. I mean, that's admirable. And of course people like that.
Sure.
Like, she's a real person.
One of the things I've always sort of given credit to in my life in terms of knowing how to fail and be okay with that is dancing. Because I've grown up dancing, or I grew up dancing. I've danced my whole life and I perform. I still perform. In fact, I have a performance March 13th. Just a side note, I'm doing this amazing piece. There's 3 of us, and we're on these like 3 different pedestals that are really small, and we're like weight sharing and catching each other. It's really scary to do. It's really fun. But in any case, growing up dancing, you learn from a very young age, if you mess up, you better just keep going. The show must go on, right? And things really start to fall apart when you mess up and then you panic and you stop. And then the whole world's looking at you like, oh, well, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But the reality is with dance, you mess up on stage and you keep going, nobody notices.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're like, hell yeah, good recover. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I feel like business and life is the same way. If you let life knock you down on the couch in these feelings of failure, you just stay on the couch. If you let it just be a little bit of a blip and you keep going, it's just a little bit of a blip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why sports are so good, I think, for kids, because they learn, like, they learn the good lessons, you know, that are taught often like later in life. I mean, I didn't grow up in a sport or anything like that, and I grew up with a perfectionist mother. Mm-hmm. So I love of course I'm gonna forget her name.
This is the story of me hosting Dharma Drops podcast. Brene Brown.
So
I love Brene Brown.
The way she talks about perfectionism. I don't know if you've ever read the definition. It is spectacular.
I don't know. I think I listened to Daring Greatly. What's that? I don't forget.
The book?
Yeah, I think that's the one, but I don't know if she talked about it in that one.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
But the way she describes perfectionism is, it's basically about shame. And it's about protecting yourself from shame. And so perfectionists are just very like acute, you know, very sensitive, and they don't want to be shamed in any way. And so they're like overly, you know, I've got to have this right. Because then, you know, no one will say anything to me. No one will push back on me. And that's like the way I grew up. But fortunately, I have this part of my personality where I'm so forward facing and move so quickly that I don't ever get down for very long.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't, it's not part of my makeup.
Sure.
But this one was definitely, I mean, I have been searching, you know, my entire life for my purpose. And to get a hold of that and then to go back to the day to day was like having my soul ripped out. I mean, it was like, it was not something that I could just like let go of quickly.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted to. And I definitely like all of last year, it was like, I kept waiting for this, like, okay, I'm ready now. Well, you know, I'd wake up and have like a good day and be like, okay, I'm ready now. So I'm going to jump into this, or I'm going to do this. And I like started like a billion different things last year.
I know about this. I have experienced this in my life a few times.
I was going to like sell CBD at some point. I was like a salesman at some point. It's like, nope, none of that is me. I'm like, I have zero patience with trying to track
But
people
I
down.
think that, like, I'm laughing at you saying, like, I'm going to sell CBD. But what I like about that, though, is it underscores your sort of acknowledgement of opportunity, right? And that there's windows of opportunity at every level of life. We just get to choose, right, when we move through them and when it's not the right time.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, for me personally, it was just like, okay, coming out of, or like not even coming out of that, but trying to start moving forward in life at the very beginning of 2019, it was like, I need to really think about the jobs I've had in the past, you know, and like figure out like the ones that I've really loved. Like, what was it specifically about it that I really loved? Because even though I loved my retail business, there were tons of things about it that like I wouldn't have loved moving forward. And so trying to pull those pieces out. And in addition, I just gave myself this kind of permission to just like try anything, because it was about like, okay, I want to get back to my purpose. I want to find my purpose. I mean, that was like my hardcore plan. And, you know, I'm like, type A, I'm going to make it happen. And so I just went for anything and everything, you know, in the midst of like building my marketing business back up. I was just kind of going for a bunch of different things, trying them out.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I think that like when you step out of something that big and your life is just completely like disheveled and you don't really, I mean, it was like, I also, in the midst of it, stopped drinking.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That in of itself was like its own spiritual awakening. I mean, oh my gosh. So it was really, and I feel like I mean, because of the spiritual awakening that happened, like I just kind of realized a month ago, I was like, damn, I was hard on myself. I mean, like, I was like coming out of this whole purpose thing and like putting too much pressure on purpose, but then B, like, I like lost my religion. You know, something that I had grown up with my entire life, that like everything changed for me all in 1 year. I mean, like, holy crap.
That's a lot.
I grew like 10 years in one.
Yeah.
So the fact I'm sitting here is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I was just thinking when you were talking, because you were saying like searching for purpose, and I resonate with this like, what am I supposed to be doing? What are my real skills? Because I have all these soft skills that can lend themselves to just about anything I want to do, which in some ways is it's a blessing. In other ways, it's a curse because it's hard to get focused sometimes. But I have to remind myself sometimes that if I spend so much time searching for my purpose, I'm missing my purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's already right here.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like Dharma, the word Dharma itself means that which supports. And we think about it sometimes as the path. And if that which supports, we're already in our Dharma, right? So we have to sift through all the shit in our lives so we can really live that purpose out. So if we're searching for the other path, we're not on our dharmic path.
Yeah. Well, and two, like when you're constantly walking around wide open, like there's no room for magic. Mm-hmm. There's no room for like things to happen because you're already like 10 steps ahead, or you're trying to be. I think for me, like do you know the enneagram at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a 3. I'm the achiever.
I think I'm a 3 too. I think I was like, because you can be like a couple,
I wouldn't be surprised if you're a 3.
I'm pretty sure I was a 3, and for some reason I feel like 7 comes to mind too, but I can't remember anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 3 is the achiever, and kind of the life, like the child pain of the 3 is that you were taught at a young age that you would receive love by accomplishing.
Oh, I'm a 3. Just kidding. My mom does listen sometimes. I'm kind of joking, Mom. But there were these moments like, did you get good grades? Here's some money. You know what I mean? Like these rewards for doing good things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, and I think it goes, like there's at least one parent, and definitely mine was my mother, mm-hmm. Who was like, I really was able to actually, my mother's a Virgo too. I was actually able to get her attention when I would do something interesting. And like, even now, I'm freaking 38 years old, and I only feel compelled to call my mom when I have something good to tell her. And so I think that there's like this propensity behind this, like, I've got to, like me spending the majority of my life, like, I've got to find my purpose, being like, my life's going to be useless if I don't find a purpose. Mm-hmm. And it was really until last year, me losing it and then realizing like, my purpose is the same as everyone's else. Like, it's to help people, right? It's to help others in whatever way. But like, I don't need to pinpoint that. I don't need to figure that out. I don't need to worry about that. And I'll like eventually, go into it. But that's like a whole lot of like, type A letting go. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not an easy thing to do.
For sure. And, I think about this in terms of my own business sometimes, because I do feel like I'm doing a lot of different things. But what I try to keep in mind all the time is, are the things I'm offering serving others? Does it uplift their lives? Does it change the way they think about their lives? And if it does, then that's what I'm going to do. And so sometimes for me, it does seem like things are all over the place, but when things aren't serving, like the book club was a good example. It was not working out. It was not serving people. It just had to go, And so maybe a good way to think about purpose is like, what is your end goal? And are you doing that? And I don't mean monetarily, like my end goal is to make $10 million, whatever. Deeper than that,
Yeah, money has never been a driver for me. Fortunately / unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, in that book that I'm listening to, You Are About Asset Making Money, she talks about this a lot. Like, money is important. We need money. But underneath all of that, there's actually deep spiritual work that has to be done.
Huge. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Soul of Money. Have you read that one?
No.
So good.
Is it good?
It's
okay.
really
That's
good.
The next one.
Yeah. It's fantastic because it goes pretty deep on kind of our connection to money and like just our beliefs, where they come from. And the woman who writes it, she travels all over the world, like raising money. And so she has dealt with like the poorest poor of poor and the richest of rich. And so much of it is about her experiences and her lessons along the way. And it's fabulous. It's very
I'll have to check it out. It'll be in the show notes, guys. So now here you are. It's 2020. And so where are you at? What's happened in the last year? So I know all these things have happened. And so I guess my real question is, what did you take from this experience that you're now bringing into your life?
Well, I think that's still culminating, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I think last year was such a a head rush that I'm still figuring it out. But I mean, I think that like I've had some real. That's a big question, Rebecca.
Sorry. It's a big podcast. It's a big world. Just kidding.
Yeah, so I took a year off from drinking.
Yeah, that's really big.
Yeah.
So that started for like a New Year's thing, right?
Yeah, it started off as like a 90-day challenge with some friends. And I think there's been a part of me for years and years that's been like really, curious about people who never drink. Like I've met people who don't drink. I'm like, what is that like? Like, how do you do that? Like, because one of the things I realized this past year is that I'm such an introvert,
Me too. And everyone thinks I'm an extrovert because I'm loud and because I talk a lot. Look, yes. I am very much an introvert.
Yes.
Don't get my volume confused.
Well, and I think that too, there's this, I always felt this pressure to be extroverted. I've like some of the reading that I've done, I think really kind of aligns with like just the woman's plight, right? It's like we're supposed to always be like sunny and happy and like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. And it's like, no. I mean, like,
I don't want to see anybody.
That's not real life.
Right.
And so growing up feeling like I needed to be this extra, and I think that that's part of why I mean, drinking helped me to be a human, really,
Sure.
like in society, like to actually be around people and not be awkward as shit. Like, I'm awkward.
I don't think you're awkward.
Well, but I think that like the context in which you know me is a lot more laid back.
Sure.
Like if we met at a networking event.
Oh, girl, if we met at a networking event, people would be like, who the fuck is this Rebecca person? Because she is weird. I'm like already sort of dreading the days when I have to like talk to anyone at networking events or like investors because they're going to be like, she's weird.
And you just got to go with it. I mean, like, when I stopped drinking last year, I still had to go out and go to social events and I still had to be around people that talk about surface things and like, holy crap, I have like no patience for that. I mean, like alcohol literally just gave me the capability to sit still and listen to BS conversation.
I'm not a chit chatter, so I didn't really know this about myself. I knew I didn't like chit chat so much and like surface level conversation, but I didn't know about my behavior surrounding that until one day I was with Brittany Roy at the studio and she had mentioned to me how many times I walk away from people when they're talking to me when they start chit chatting. Apparently, now I catch myself doing it all the time. I had no idea. Like, I bet you my whole life, people will be like, yes, and then we were at the beach. I was like, okay. And I turn around and I leave. I straight up walk down the hall. And she was like, the only reason that it doesn't make me mad is because you're you and I know you. And she was like, but every time people chit chat and you're tired of it, you just turn around and leave. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. And it turns out I do it all the time.
I totally do that too.
Sorry, everybody.
You've never done that to me.
Okay, but you're not a chit chatter.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I mean, I was just talking about blind date, but that's important.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know. Yeah, alcohol enabled me to deal with that kind of stuff, and having to like get out, like you just see things from such a completely different perspective. And I just need to say this as a disclaimer, I was not an alcoholic.
Oh yeah. Because when people say they stopped drinking, everyone's like, oh, she was an alcoholic.
Yeah. There's this whole movement right now called gray area drinking. I'm really thankful for, because I mean, I remember years and years ago, like, I had, like in my early 20s, I had actually stopped drinking, and it was just because I realized that, like, I looked drunk.
Do you hear Hank snoring? I'm sorry. Everyone listening can probably hear it too. It's so loud.
That is not Rebecca or I.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But what was I going to say?
Gray area drinking.
Yes.
In your 20s.
So I stopped drinking because it was just like I realized I was drinking too much. I was never someone who, was like the loud, crazy drunk girl. But there was nothing out there for me to read or like learn about. But now there is. Like this whole gray area drinking kind of movement is really for those people who are in between, who are like, not alcoholics. You know, they can walk away from it when they want to. But drink more than they should. And
I'm probably in the gray area. I would probably identify myself as that.
Most are.
Yeah.
And it's where it really gets, like, I think defined is in your relationship with it. So, like, do you grab the glass of wine because your day is tough? You know, like, do you grab the glass of wine because you can't deal with the people?
Right.
You know, like, what is your relationship with that? And then, like, just looking at it and then thinking, like, is this healthy or not? You know, because there's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine at the end of the day if it's tough, until it becomes your crutch.
Right.
You know, and for me, it was like, I wanted to, first of all, I felt so freaking amazing that first 90 days. And there was like, all of a sudden, I didn't have shame, you know? I didn't have, like, you know, it was no problem sticking to my, like, exercise routine because I felt great every morning. I was sleeping better. Like, those are the things that just kind of popped up about it. But, and so I just continued with it. But being able to see the world from a completely different lens, you know, is, I think, really interesting. And also, huge for just getting I totally lost my train of thought.
The story of my life.
We don't need to edit this out.
No, not at all. So while you're remembering what you're going to say, I was actually thinking about an article I read last night on Facebook because everyone's talking about the halftime show from the Super Bowl. So I don't really watch the Super Bowl. I've never watched a full football game in my life, and now I won't because it's like my thing. I'm like getting really, really stubborn about it. Speaking of Bulldogs in the beginning, right? I'm like super stubborn about it, but I will watch the halftime show. So when I saw Jennifer Lopez come out and I saw her costume, I was like, oh God, here we go. Tomorrow morning, everyone. I thought she was amazing. But of course, it was just so predictable. You know what people were going to say.
She's J-Lo.
I mean,
do you expect anything
First
less?
of all, get over it. News flash. I have something really important to tell the world. Women have bodies. Who would have known?
J-Lo, out of all of that, I mean, like, she's like a double Leo with a Leo.
How do you know this stuff?
Because I'm crazy. I don't know. I've always been super fascinated by astrology since I was a kid.
So interesting.
It's like my way of, like, placing people in their little scientific bubbles in my brain.
That's kind of how Ayurveda is for me.
Yeah.
But I read this article last night about Shakira and J-Lo because everyone was talking about how good they look. The people who weren't upset that they have bodies and they were somewhat exposed were talking about how good they look. And I did not know that Shakira and J-Lo, neither of them drink.
Yeah.
And they haven't drank for a long time.
Yeah.
And Shakira also doesn't take in any caffeine either, which I can't imagine not. I could walk away from drinking. You're going to pry my caffeine from me and on my death grip. You know what I mean?
It has started affecting my hormones big time. And so I've had to step back to decaf.
Really?
Yeah, I can't do regular anymore.
Now, I do have a cup of coffee, sometimes like a cup and a half in the morning, and sometimes I'll have some in the afternoon. I've tried to scale back to tea, decaf tea, because I think sometimes I just want like a hot drink, because I like hot drinks. They're good for you, you know, like a warm drink is good. But too much caffeine definitely throws me off my rocker.
Well, she, too, I mean, like, Shakira's brilliant. She speaks, like, 4 or 5 languages.
Okay, so I didn't know she was Lebanese. I had no idea. So I was reading an article about all of these things.
She speaks, like, Arabic,
and
Spanish. And she learned English from poetry. I mean, like,
I had no idea.
Incredible.
So, like, of course, everyone's complaining about the Super Bowl, and there was a post that was circulating on Facebook that sort of identified all these things that J-Lo and Shakira did that were sort of a nod or a shout out to their cultures. And they were talking about the, quote, weird tongue thing that Shakira did, you know, and they were saying that's part of her Lebanese Arabic background, you know, and I was like, I had no idea she was even Lebanese.
Best food on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. That's totally where my brain's going to go.
I'm pretty hungry. I could talk about food.
I think, though, that, I mean, that for me, like, what kind of perpetuated that break from alcohol? Some of the most...
Sorry, that's my computer.
Some of the most successful people that I've met in my life over the years don't drink. Yeah. I mean, like, really serious people do not drink because they want their mind. I mean, like, they take care of their mind like they take care of their body. And I mean, like, J-Lo works out, like, 2 hours a day or something.
They also said that she doesn't miss a workout. Like, there are no ifs, ands, or buts. They said even on her birthday, she gets up and makes it to her workout.
Yeah.
which I missed mine yesterday because I was in that chair right there.
Let's not use that to feel bad about ourselves.
That's right. It's not failure.
No. I mean, the whole thing is like, it's, J-Lo is a very, the thing that's been apparent about her, I think from, gosh, since I started like checking her out online. I love that we're talking about J-Lo here.
I told you we can talk about anything we want.
It's just that she is willing to do whatever it takes. Like, she is not, no sugar, no problem. God. No, like, whatever, no problem.
I need
like,
that
she
discipline.
Is core. Like, I need some of that. Like,
you know, one of the things too that has come up a lot in things that I've read or things that I've listened to, and Aaron's even mentioned to me a lot, that most of the most successful people in the world have a meditation practice.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so we think about it as this like woo-woo, hippy-dippy, you can't be spiritual and run a business, you know, but the most powerful people in the world are doing these things because it keeps them clear and steady.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that is 100% like why I want to have, like with Soul Driven, why I want to talk about that connection, because I think it is so important to have that spiritual and soulful connection to be successful in business. I mean, you can obviously be successful in business without that side of it, but like, are you fulfilled? Are you actually satisfied? Do you like what you do? You know what I mean? Like, do you like the life that you're living? And something like meditation, I mean, like, good gosh, like, we put so much emphasis into taking care of our bodies, but we don't take care of our insides. Like, we don't take care of our mind. We don't take care of our heart. Like, you know, love has been this like super fuzzy thing, but it's literally the most important thing on the planet.
Right.
You know, it's like, gosh, if you get love and non-judgment down, like, everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, getting there is obviously a work in progress for forever.
Yep.
But it's not complicated, you know?
It's hard, I think, because the same energies that I think allow us to operate from a place of love are often rechanneled into a place of hate or jealousy or anger, frustration, fear, whatever, you name it, you call it. But for me, it's an act of rechanneling all of that. Because look, there are plenty of times in my life where I'm like, I am so pissed right now and I'm not acting out of a place of love and I have to stop.
Yeah.
And think, all right, let's back this up. And I think love is like a tricky word. I can see people being like, love, how do you come from a place of love when you're so angry? It's a rechanneling of that energy. And I think for me, the yoga practice, meditation practices, they've taught me how to rechannel that energy.
Yeah. So every decision that we make comes from either a place of love or a place of fear. And the way I really like to think about it is, if I can catch myself, like when I'm in a loving moment, my chest feels open and free, versus like if it's coming from fear, I feel constricted. You know, like whether it's an argument or whether like someone has offended me or whether, you know, someone cut me off in traffic or like whatever the case. And as soon as that happens, then I have the choice. You know, to be like, okay, so this person just cut me off, but maybe like their mom's in the hospital and they just found out. Or, you know what I mean? Like, Anna, how many people have you cut off? Or, you know what I mean? Like being able to just kind of like redirect, like you're talking about, what is actually happening. And I think that being able to pare it down to just the difference between love and fear simplifies it. So you're not like, wait, where's this? What is it? You know, like guilt and shame. And I'm like, there's like so many different things, but it's all from two places.
Yeah. And you know, my sister, who's a therapist, a long time ago, I was like telling her I was just so angry at that point in my life. And I was like, I'm just so pissed. And she was like, you know, I just said it. She was like, you know, she said to me, if your anger was a blanket and you lifted it up, what would you find? And I've thought about this over and over and over again in my life. And the answer is always fear. Always, right? Anger is a result of fear. Sadness is a result of fear. Jealousy is a result of fear. It's always coming back to fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's a pretty interesting concept, and one that I've really started to incorporate, you know, into my daily life, just trying to be aware first. I mean, like, there have been times when I've like been able to be aware and make a change.
Right.
But you know, it always starts with like, okay, first the education part, and then B, like being aware of when it's actually happening, and then like C is like the ultimate level of being like, no, I choose not to be angry about that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's real. One of the things that I just learned in, or I shouldn't say learned, it was like an epiphany in the midst of this inner voice class.
A download from the universe.
I love those. I was totally brushing my teeth like, holy shit. Like,
these things come to me at the weirdest times, these ideas. I'm like brushing my teeth or like doing the dishes or just something really random. I'm like,
but see,
where did that come from?
This is the deal, because these, like the most mundane things are the only times that we're giving ourselves space these days.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, like, I don't know about you, but like I've always got a podcast playing, you know, like I'm always doing something.
Always doing something. I was actually thinking about this recently. I was like, when was the last time that you've actually done nothing?
Yeah.
And then I think to myself, oh, well, you go to yoga, but I'm still doing yoga,
Yeah,
right?
you're moving.
Right. I'm like
Yeah.
still doing something. I can't even tell you the last time that I sat down and just like,
You need to go to my monastery.
wait, what? It's just like this podcast just keeps evolving.
So my vacation, I go once a year, is to a monastery.
You do?
And it is epic.
Wait, how did I not know this about you? I've known you for a long time. Maybe you told me I forgot.
I've talked about it a lot on social media and stuff too.
I know. I follow you, all your stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's incredible. It's like 4 hours from here. It's literally in this town called Harmony.
What, is this in North Carolina?
Yeah.
This is the strangest state. It's such a weird
So it's
state.
amazing. Like you go and like the first time I went, I did like a silent retreat, which I
could never do that.
just meant I wore like a button that said "Don't talk to me," basically.
Okay, I need that button.
Yeah, it's.
I need
It's
that button
powerful
everywhere
button.
I go. Don't talk to me.
But it's like, I mean, as soon as I arrive there, when I go, I'm pretty much usually asleep within like an hour because it is so quiet. Because like people do not talk. I mean, like when you go to eat, because they have like you eat your breakfast in your house, but for lunch and dinner you go to like a gathering place, and people are still really chill, but they do talk there. You can opt to not. Like basically just nobody bothers you. So it is so quiet. It is magical. And they have like a spiritual, like
I'm just laughing
spiritual
because I just had
guide
this
that you
vision
can-
of me like not talking but being like these big gestures, like when I want to say hi, like my hands waving.
You would struggle. So the first time that I went, like, because this was also my first vacation that I'd had since I started my business, it was like, I think 3.5 years. And I told the woman who was checking me in, I was like, yeah, so this is my first vacation. She was like, oh my gosh, you're going to sleep a lot. And I was like, no, because I don't sleep. Like, I don't like naps.
Oh, I do.
I sleep now, but then like, you know, I just really didn't sleep much. And I also, of course, arrived with my type A bullet pointed plan of what I was going to be accomplishing while I was there. And none of that was happening. And I was freaking out by that night, thinking like, oh, what am I going to do? Like what? Because I mean, it's simple. It's plain. I mean, like there's books. Like I had brought all kinds of stuff with me to do that had not, like I put away all my electronics, but I was just like in my head, you know, I mean, I went for like 3 runs like the first day and still, you know, and I called my dad and I was like, I can't stay here. And he was like, Anna, have some wine, which you're not supposed to bring, but I did bring a bottle.
We won't tell anyone. It's only blasted on 165 countries. No one tell a soul.
But it got me through it. And then the next morning I had a massage, and that was it. I was on. And now every year when I go, it is all about doing nothing. And it is so spectacular. They have like a labyrinth. They have like a sanctuary, but there's all these trails that you can walk on. It's like surrounded by woods. It's magical. And it's the whole concept of like reconnecting with, I mean, I was never the same person after that first visit. Like literally have never been the same, because you reconnect with like, what is a priority in life? What is important in life? What is, you know, this space that is so precious and so huge? Like I'm on a mad hunt right now for, like, you know, headphones or whatever that I can't hear out of, because I want to be able to like have that silence with me wherever I'm going. So like these are just important things. I mean, like I always walk out of there with like crazy amounts of downloads. That time is so we need that. Like, if I could gift people one thing, that is what I would gift everyone in my life. Mm-hmm. Because you will go and you will struggle at first until you've yoga. Let go,
You go for 4 days, is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, 4 nights.
God, I would be like a wreck. I don't even know what I do to not be able to talk. I mean, even when I'm here, I'm just talking a little hanky all day, you know?
It is not, I mean, the first time you go, I think, is the hard.
Yeah.
And then you're fine.
And you also know what to expect, because you've experienced it. You kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, when I show up now, I'm like, yes.
That's really cool. I want to go.
Here.
Do you go in the summer?
I like going in the winter. There's nobody there.
I love winter.
Yeah.
I'd do anything for winter.
Yeah.
Hank is snoozing. Now, let's talk about a being who knows how to do nothing. Right there.
Dogs, I mean, animals in general, though, like...
Yeah. They know how to live. They know what's up. Hank is the master at doing nothing. Look at him right now. He's slapping his little mouth. He's so cute.
He's precious.
He's the cutest dog I've ever seen in the whole wide world.
I want to take him with me.
You cannot have him, but you're welcome to come visit whenever you want.
You cannot have him.
You cannot have him. So are there any other big things that you want to share with the Dharma Drops audience?
No. But I definitely, again, just want to, share about my podcast. Soul Driven Podcast is what it's called. And it'll probably be published by the time this comes out. But I'll give Miss Rebecca a link.
Hey.
So you can sign up for the newsletter that'll be going out. It's going to be great.
Everything you do is always like spectacular. So I don't doubt it at all.
I'm just so excited to really kind of dive in to this, because I feel like now is the perfect time. I mean, people are just changing in general. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not satisfied with the things we used to be satisfied.
Yeah, for sure. Thank God.
We're in this like weird middle place though of like trying to figure out how to be spiritual and trying to figure out how to pay the bills. And
that's actually sort of the heart of Dharma Drops too, is that like, not so much in particular like that middle space, but the acknowledgement that we get to experience all of this lifetime, you know, because I feel like up until recently, it's like you were either a yogi or you weren't.
Yeah.
Right? Or you were a business person or you were a spiritual person, and we get to do all the things in this lifetime. We do.
You should do all the things.
Of course.
Experience all the things. That's heightens your experience. Like, why would you not? I mean, I did yoga this morning. I love my yoga. I also love my like heavy weight pounding,
I just started lifting weights again, and I'm actually, when we're done recording, I'm going to the gym. And the thing about lifting weights that kills me is how hungry I get. There is not enough
to ride the wave.
There is not enough food in the world to satisfy me after lifting weights.
Yeah, it's always when I if I take a break from it and I go back to it, there's always this, and I just gotta let myself go for like 2 weeks. It's like it's cool, Anna. Your body is readjusting.
Do you just suffer through it, or do you just eat more healthy foods? Like, what do you do?
I definitely try and make better, like, good decisions. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't allow myself to just like eat crappy food.
Oops.
But
I ate barbecue chips.
Not that I like always win that. Okay.
I ate barbecue chips last night. They were so good.
But like replacing like dates are epic for me. Like having one date. I mean, obviously I can have more, dates. But like after dinner, if you're sweet, like your sweet tooth's gone after that.
A date, I don't need more than one date. They're a lot.
Yeah,
it's like
intense.
It's a lot of food and flavor. Mm-hmm.
What I really love about the like weightlifting process is the like falling on your toilet process.
Okay, so
like, you can't,
I was demonstrating myself sitting on the toilet the other day to a group of friends. I was like, look, when I sit down to pee, like this happens. And I'm like holding onto the sink, and like there's nothing else for me to hold on to the other side. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and you have to like roll off. You're like, okay, I gotta get off this thing
like
now. Like
the worst. So at least on the couch you can just like flop down. Like the toilet, you gotta like skillfully get down there, man.
Yeah. Or you can like totally rip that like toilet seat off too. It's like, woo! Like, yeah. It's always like the best part.
It's the worst. So this thing I'm doing, Aaron showed it to me. I actually really like it because lifting weights has been my least favorite type of exercise. I like big movement that travels. That's why I like dance. I don't run anymore, but I used to run all the time. I don't really, there's a lot of reasons why. I basically, like, I hurt my back and I couldn't run for a long time, and then I just kind of lost the love for it, you know? So maybe if I tried again, I would enjoy it. I don't know.
I ran a half marathon and I haven't ran since.
I'm not that pressed on it. Of course, I love yoga. You know, everyone knows, of course, I love yoga, but weightlifting was always a little bit boring for me.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds stupid, but every time, like, there's all these things that you do that are seated, and the moment I sit down, I'm like, well, I'm done, you know? So Aaron showed me this thing. You take the long bar. I don't know what it's called. It's the big bar, the weighted, I don't know, what's it called? I don't even know. Just where you put the little weights on the ends. You know what I'm talking about.
The bar weight.
The bar. The weight bar. The bar. But anyway, so you take the bar thingamabob and you do 6, I don't have the name for any of this, but like 6, you lift the bar up over your head 6 times, and then you do 7 front squats, 8 rows, 9 deadlifts, 10 back squats. And then you do that set as many times as you can in 20 minutes. I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
That's like full body, wrecked workout when I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
And around like set 3, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still have 10 more minutes to go.
Yeah, your vision starts like changing a little bit. It's like things get a little bit clearer.
It's really
all of a sudden
weird.
You've been reintroduced to those hamstrings. And it's
Yes.
like, ooh.
Well, the first few times my legs hurt before I left the gym.
Yeah.
you know. But actually this last time I was a little sore, but not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, when I just actually recently started back, I had taken like, I think maybe a month and a half break. And it was falling on the toilet again and like, you know, walking like I'm 400 pounds, like waddling everywhere.
I was at yoga the other day and I bent down. I was teaching. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I bent down.
Lots of sound effects. Reaching with my arm, like everything.
It's kind of nice though to take a break sometimes because, I mean, I know that we don't need to feel things every time we work out, right? That's also a sign of progress, is that like our bodies are adapting, but sometimes it's nice to step back and then be a beginner again and feel those things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And to give the body a chance to sort of relearn some stuff.
Yeah. I think breaks are good too, just because, at least like for me, it helps me to like understand all over again why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of like reconnect with my why, because sometimes I just get caught up in the mundane, like, you know, exercise of it. And it's like, okay, you know, like I'm not seeing whatever, because of course results don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Especially
the
older you get.
That's the worst part. And we don't want to talk about getting older. I know that 37 is not old, but I'll tell you, things are different. And so, you know, in dance recently, in ballet class, I have discovered I'm having a harder time jumping. And it's not because things hurt. I can't find it anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like the strength, where that comes from, it's just less in my body. And I mean, if you watch dancers as they get older, they don't jump quite as high. They don't jump quite as often. Their legs don't go quite as high. It's just
interesting.
It's leaving.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine. Jumping is like, okay. It's like never really my favorite part. So there's other things I'd rather keep. Like, I can travel really well in dance. I can get across the floor in 2 seconds. That's still there. So, you know.
Yeah, body changes for sure.
I'm over it.
It's privilege, girl.
It is
Not
a
everyone
privilege.
gets to.
You're right.
To get older.
I need to change my attitude
We
about
gotta
it.
be very thankful for our wrinkles and our
These guys.
shorter jumps. And
I don't have a lot of wrinkles, actually. Hopefully that'll stay that way. I know you say it's a privilege, but one thing my parents did give me is very good genetics in aging.
Yeah.
They don't look their age at all, and neither do I. Neither does my sister.
Yeah, neither do my parents. They're both. I mean, my mom's like 60. She has 0 gray hairs. She's never had a gray hair.
My parents are in their 70s, but I have a sister 10 years older than me. I'm the baby, so.
We know this.
Oh, yeah. Do I act like the baby, Anna? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yes, Rebecca.
Okay. So before we wrap things up, I'd like to end the podcast with just a little chit chat about things that just aren't really that important. Like, are there any things that you're doing in life right now that you're really enjoying that just for pure fun? Yeah, I know you said you don't watch TV, which blows my mind. Any good books you're reading? Any good games you're playing?
So I have a life-changing practice thing to do.
Okay.
I don't know. Blackout curtains.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, I've kind of always struggled with sleeping, as we talked about. But I went and saw an acupuncturist because I used to get really big, like puffy eyes constantly. And anyway, he was like, you should really get some blackout curtains and try that. Holy crap.
Really?
First of all, my eyes like don't get puffy anymore.
That's interesting.
Second, I'm sleeping like so good.
Do you sleep late in the
No.
day?
I get up at 5 a.m. every day.
You do?
Yeah.
I used to. I need to come like spend a week with you and get like trained.
I have like a whole morning routine. It's called getting fit for public consumption, and it is a must. I am not this nice first thing in the morning.
That's hilarious.
Also, I've really been seeing a difference in my, like how hungry I am.
That's
in the
interesting.
morning. Yeah, I'm just waking up in a completely different place.
That's interesting. I wake up starving.
I used to.
That's like if I had to, I could skip dinner. I could even skip lunch if I had to. I cannot skip breakfast.
Well, it's probably because you eat so much for breakfast that you can skip lunch
Yeah.
and dinner. And honestly, eating more early on, like lunch is supposed to be your biggest meal of the day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really changed up kind of my morning routine, which has been nice, like in regards to food. But anyway, it's, for me, that's like huge because I mean, you know, as a society, we're starting to talk about the importance of sleep, but just in the midst of balance, and then thank the Lord for looking better. Yes. Yes, that was not like, I mean, yeah, it's been good.
I noticed for the first time in my life that I've been starting to get really dark circles around my eyes. I've never had
This
that.
is it. This is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, that was me.
And like all the way, like to the top of my eye, like up here, I've never had that before. And lately I've noticed I'm getting those. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, I'm going to get some.
And you can get them in colors and patterns and, you know, all kinds of things. So it's not just have to have black curtains.
Yeah. I think Angela was just telling me, because she was in Iceland, because, you know, they reach these periods of time where it's just light all the time.
Yeah.
And they use blackout curtains and stuff like that. So, I mean.
I honestly cannot believe what a huge difference it's made. I just can't
That's interesting.
It's my new little.
Are you reading any good books?
So I have, oh gosh, I just read the Gita.
Oh, the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah,
I've read the Gita many a time.
So good. So, do you believe in the afterlife?
I don't know what I believe. I believe in anything's possible.
That is totally fair. So there's this book that I kind of got turned onto via a podcast, actually. It is written by the mother of this boy who passed away when he was like 20, who died in a car accident, but he actually like came back.
Oh.
He didn't like come back, but he channeled his
gotcha.
mom and talks about like what happens after you die. Talks about like, I mean, a lot like abortion, like talked about like a lot of the big things that we get concerned about or feel shame about or any of those types of things. It's called Flying High in Spirit. It's a really easy read, but oh my gosh, is it fascinating.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I've been reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead,
Okay.
you know, because it talks about, the reason I got into the Tibetan Book of the Dead is because I got the archetype cards for Christmas, and I pulled the Bardo card, and Bardo's like this state after death, you know, where it's kind of complicated to explain, but essentially it's like, you know, when after you die, and, you know, according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, we have this scripture that we read to the person that's died to help them move through these different stages of consciousness, and that's the Bardo. And so I've been reading a lot about afterlife and consciousness and all this stuff. So I'd be interested to read that, because what I always find is when people write these books or have these conversations about afterlife and spirituality, they're almost always the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They might come in a different form or in a different language or slightly different context, but it's just the same.
Yeah, so this is like
Hank is snoozing.
he is out. This is exactly why his name is perfect for him.
I know. Only
If his name was Bruce, it wouldn't like be as cool.
I know.
Like,
Hank, it's
Hank
perfect.
snoring.
Yeah.
It's just because of the way in which he not only addresses like the actual happenings, what happens after life, but then really goes in and addresses like a lot of the big questions we have. Like, okay, if you had an abortion, like what's the deal? Or if can you do right or wrong? You know, like my brain's going to go blank right now, but those are the types of things that he addresses. And it's just a really fascinating book. The woman who like helped his mother write this book, her name's Roberta Grimes, and she's like one of the most well-known like afterlife researchers. She was actually a lawyer until her mid-50s.
I think I've heard of her.
She's
Pardon me.
pretty.
Yeah, I
pretty
think I've heard of her
incredible
before.
To look at, or to listen to, I should say.
And to look at, Roberta.
Roberta, girl. I'm like always reading 3 or 4 books at a time.
I feel you.
So another one I would totally suggest if you're interested in the Enneagram is the Sacred
Okay,
Enneagram.
the Enneagram's pretty interesting.
It's very, and this is a book where again it's coming at it from a soul perspective.
Yeah,
and it really because I've got other Enneagram books, but this one is completely different because it talks about. So the Enneagram supposedly was created to help us learn how to get back to God or spirit or creator, whatever it is that we want to,
because
call.
I knew that a lot of churches use the Enneagram, but I had a student at UNCW who was telling me about it, but she was like, it's actually not like in this religious way.
No,
she
not
was
at all.
not like, it's not a Christian thing,
No, not at
and
all.
so I wasn't really sure what was going on, but she didn't explain it like that. So.
It's pretty fascinating to me that like the Christian church embraces it because it is very like new agey or something kind of for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean like they use the word God, but God can be whatever it is
Right,
to you.
right,
You know?
right.
And the other book that I would suggest is Seat of the Soul.
Seed of the Soul?
Seat.
Oh, Seat. S-E-A-T.
Yes.
Got it.
By Gary Zukov. And that book is freaking epic. It is really, really, really good.
Okay.
It just talks about, he breaks down how life works, like karma, how important intention is, but he talks about why, and it's, his background is science, so like quantum physics, but in this way that you can understand it. I've clearly been reading some heavy shit lately. I've also been reading Becoming by Michelle Obama, but that's...
I have that, and I have a little bookshelf in that closet, and I have that. I've not read it yet.
It's been my light reading, I guess, in the midst of all of this. But
I need to make more time to actually sit down and read. I listen to things a lot. I love listening to books, but I have got to, just going back to our conversation earlier about making space, I have not made space to sit down and read in a long time. And it's kind of hard because, I'm here working all the time, then Aaron comes home for work, and then the TV's going, you know what I mean? Dinner's being made, all these things.
Totally.
And so then it's just hard to get that quiet time and space.
Yeah.
Because some people can read in the midst of chaos. I cannot.
yeah.
I have to have like dead silence.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have to, it's a part of my morning time, or it's a part of my evening time. Like, Carlos and I have scheduled days that we're together and scheduled days when we're not. So even though we're in the same house, like, we're doing our own thing. We don't have to talk to each other. We don't have dinner together, like, anything like that. So we can just, like, do our thing.
That's interesting.
So, it's great. Because then, like, I can always plan without having to be like, so, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for stuff like this, like, both of us are geeking out on the things that we like during those times. But yeah, I get you. It's amazing to me that as technology has grown, how much more difficult it's made it to do things like read.
I know. But then I guess on the flip side, I do think people are consuming more information, valuable information in some ways, because they are listening. Things like podcasts are popular. And I just read, what did it say? I think this is not the right statistic. I'm going to have to find it. But it was something like there were more book sales last year than in the last like X amount of years.
Yeah, book sales are
something like that.
Bookstores are making a rebound.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah, it is good.
And that's because, like for me, I was always reading on my Kindle and I stopped.
I cannot read on a
only
Kindle. I have
reading on
tried. I
books
just
now.
can't.
Well, it was like a comfort thing because I could like be in bed and on my side and the lights off at night. So that's like my time to read while homeboy's sleeping. But in an effort to like, lengthen that divide between my screen time, I'm just reading books now.
Yeah, I've tried the Kindle thing before. What I like about the Kindle is it keeps a little less clutter, around, but
books are such pretty decoration.
I know, they are.
Books, plants, you can't go wrong with either one of those.
Frenchies.
Frenchie.
I know. So tell me, if the Dharma Drops audience want to learn more about you, if they want to be sure to stay in touch with you about your upcoming podcast, where can they find you? Yeah.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram. I think that would be just the best place to start.
Okay.
Ahna Hendrix. Hendrix, like Jimmy.
But Anna.
We also have the same birthday.
Oh, really?
Yes. Follow me on Instagram. I'm the same handle on Facebook, but if you want to follow me on Facebook, I do talk political stuff, so you'll just have to be cool with that. But yeah, that's the best place. And then actually you can go to ahnahendrix.com/soul driven podcast, and that's where you can sign up for the email list.
Cool.
So,
and all these links will be in the show notes. So to make it easy, you can go to dharmadropspodcast.com/blog. Oh, wait, that's not right. dharmadropspodcast.com and click show notes. And then once you get to that page, you'll see Anna's episode right there. I give you the actual link, but I don't know what episode number you're going to be. So, because I recently reformatted my website. And so now to get all of the episodes, there's big show notes page with every episode. So you can just go to dharmadropspodcast.com/show notes, and it's there.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
I can't wait to check it out.
Hey, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. And then to keep up with Dharma Drops, you can head over to Instagram and go to @DharmaDropsPodcast. And I mean, I just said it, but you can also go to dharmadropspodcast.com. Imagine it. Anna, this has been so much fun. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime.
I needed some Rebecca fix.
Yeah, girl, here I am. You know where to find me. All right, guys, until we meet again next time. Bye, everyone. Yeah, that was good. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Dharma Drops. Just as a reminder, for as little as $2 a month, you can get exclusive podcasts, swag, merch, yoga classes, meditations, and more by becoming a supporter on Patreon. Just head over to patreon.com/Dharma Drops. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to Dharma Drops podcast on whatever app you're listening on. It's a great way to show your support, as well as a great way to share the podcast with others. And to see all of the Dharma Drops offerings, including the weekly card readings, the shop, and more, just head over to dharmadropspodcast.com. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Bye.